All right, old school NBA fans, self-research NBA facts. I got another video. Again, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I understand that this was going to get resistance. I know people have players preconceived notions in their mind of who's better than who. I did too, but when I went through and stuck with the criteria, I did not deviate. Kareem, there's a guy arguing about Kareem about, oh, some of the players were injured, this and that. Well, whatever. Look, Kareem was extremely lucky in the time that he played. And in his 20-year career, he had 3 teams with 60 or more wins in them. And that was all right in the very beginning of his career. And he got shellacked by him. I mean, what do you want me to say? A third of the teams he played had less than 45 wins. Kobe Bryant played 1 team with less than 45 wins. Kobe had the stiffest competition, and Kareem had, I think, the weakest or the second weak. I have to go back and look. There's a pile of papers this thick. But it was either the weakest or the second weakest. Overall competition was Kareem. It was so weak. It was a joke, really, most of the teams that he played. And Kareem didn't really make anyone better. I saw no evidence of it anywhere. The players did better before they played with him and then after. He didn't make anybody better. He didn't maximize teammates just like LeBron James did. But that's only a couple of criterias. There's a whole bunch. There's mental fortitude. Kobe was like in the top 5 on that. The winning, going 11-1 when the series is tied 2-2. That's mental fortitude. That's not letting your team down, not letting yourself down. Leadership. Durability, Kobe didn't score very high on, but he got injured, but it wasn't one that wasn't worth as much weight. But it is what it is, and again, I'm not saying that Kobe Bryant was a better individual player than Wilt Chamberlain or Larry Bird or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Hakeem Olajuwon. What I'm saying is, with all things considered, he had the greater career as a player and as a teammate. He did a lot of great things, and I'm not a Kobe guy. Like I was always an afterthought to me as a guy. He's a facsimile of Jordan. He's not Jordan. He only won 1 MVP, a couple scoring titles, whoopee, whatever. But then when I dug into it, I realized that his competition, he beat Tim Duncan 4 out of 6 times. Show me somebody else to beat Tim Duncan 4 out of 6 times in the playoffs. Shaq didn't do it. I think Shaq had a losing record against Duncan, if I remember correctly. He was 2-2 with Kobe, and then he got beat when he was on Phoenix. So he's, I think, 2-3, where Kobe is 4-2. Anyway, it is what it is. Look, you can rebut, you can say I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. But I used the criteria of what I thought was the most important things. Went all the way down. The very bottom one was durability. I mean, it's important, but it's like you can't punish people for being hurt necessarily. But anyway, enough of the rambling. My number 3 player on my list, I'm sure a lot of you have already guessed it, is Magic Johnson. And Magic, no, he did not have a bunch of all defenses, but on that side of the ball, he was solid, and he was the floor general on defense, just like he was on offense. He did get 2 steals titles, so it's not like he was just a liability out there. He wasn't. He was solid. He was between mediocre to solid. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give Magic about a 6. If the elite first team all defense is a 10 and second team all defense is a 9, and a number 1, your Tony Kukoc, who can't do a lick. Magic was in that probably right at number 6, I would say, just above average. Because Magic could go in there and he could switch on the big guys, help on a power forward or a center, like he did in 1980. comes in. His team's up 3-2 on the road in Game 6 as a rookie. Plays center against Caldwell Jones, a multiple all-defensive player, and scores 42 points as a rookie. I mean, that was one of the greatest performances in NBA history. It's got to be one of the 4 or 5 best performances ever in a single game. Now, the most important thing was Magic won 5 championships with 11 chances at doing it. Now, you think like, well, it's less than half. It is, but it was still right around the middle. I think it was about 11th or 12th best. Magic, not as good as Kobe, but he was 7-1 when the series was tied 2-2. So if he got you tied up 2-2, you almost guaranteed he's going to win that series. Magic had 9 straight top 3 in MVP, which, I mean, that's like Michael Jordan level right there. Maybe Wilt Chamberlain level. He won 3 MVPs, 3 Finals MVPs, which was excellent because Magic didn't have the longevity. He didn't score super high on that because he only played for 12 years. However, I am going to get into something about longevity with Magic here in a minute. He lost 3 times with home court, and he lost 3 times with a lead. That was still in the top 10. That was in the 10 best ones. But every one of his leads was only a 1-game lead. Like 2 of them were 1-0, and 1 of them was 2-1. So he wasn't like had like a 2-0 lead or a 3-1 lead. No. It was either 1-0 or twice and a 1-0 once. He's got the best road playoff record of all time, 46-36, of the top 25 players anyway. He made pretty much every player he came in contact with better. He elevated them immediately. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, his first MVP in 3 years, they improved from a 47 to a 60-win team. They had virtually the same roster, the same core of players, Jamal Wilkes, Norm Nixon, and Kareem. Adrian Dantley, who that year in 1980 scored 28 points a game on Utah, he was scoring 18 when he was on the Lakers. He was gone. That was part of the trade. But without Dantley, Magic comes in, and he scored what Dantley did, 18 points a game. So it's a wash, right? Well, then how did they go from being a 47-win team to a 60-win team when you're only adding Magic Johnson? Because of Magic. A 25-win increase overnight. That's incredible to me. He won 4 assist titles. He's definitely regarded as the best passer of all time. Now, he may not technically be like, what's the word I'm looking for, fundamentally sound passer of all time, but he was certainly the most creative and widely regarded as the best passer of all time. He did that one important thing better than anyone else. That was big. The 2 steal titles, and he also got 1 free throw title. Magic was an excellent free throw shooter. He was always right at the top, 87, 88, 89, even 90%, I think once or twice. He had 8 straight seasons of 11.5 assists or more, I think second only to John Stockton. Actually, it is second only to John Stockton. His team net rating was top 5 all 12 years from 1980 to 91. They were in the top 3 in 9 of his 12 years. And one of those years he was injured for about a third of the season, his second season in 1981. They won 60 games 5 times. That's the same amount as Michael Jordan, and he only played 12 years. More 50-win, he played more 50-win teams in 12 years than LeBron's 15. He had the toughest finals competition that I could find, both by All-NBA, by record, and guys on my top 25 list. 1980, Dr. J. 1982, Dr. J. In 1983, Dr. J and Moses. In 1984, Larry Bird. 85, Bird. 87, Bird. 88, 89, there was nobody top 25, and then 91, Jordan. So in his 9 finals, 8 of those guys were in my top, I think, 15. So, I mean, he's playing all the best players. And, you know, the Pistons in 88 and 89 were, you know, very hot, very hungry. Almost beat them in '88, but the Lakers were able to hold on. In '89, Magic was injured in that series. He pulled a hamstring. Byron Scott was hurt. I'm not making excuses, but I did take those little things into account. Basically only for the finals. I didn't really look at all the other playoff series, just the finals. I looked at a couple things like that. His competition wasn't that strong. In fact, I think he was like the 20th or 21st strongest competition of everybody on the list. But his finals competition was very, very good. But his division and his conference competition was not tough at all. That's some of the negative stuff. Now, Byron Scott shot with Magic between 47 and 52.7% when he played with Magic. He never got better than 46 without him, and he still had some good years after Magic. Worthy never made an All-NBA without Magic. Went from the 3 seed in 91 down to the 8 seed immediately, and they had the same roster in 1992 as they did in 91. So they dropped 5 seedings just like that. AC Green, he never made an All-Star and All-Defense without Magic in 10 years after playing with Magic, and he was like 25, 26 years old. Okay. I already went over, he brought the best out in players like, Jamal Wilkes and Kareem and James Worthy. Now, the something I find interesting was Magic Johnson in 1996 came back to play. I don't even know why this doesn't get talked about much. He played 32 games for the Lakers in 96. He came back after a 5-year layoff. He improved the team just in that little bit he played by 5 wins. He was fat. He was out of shape. He was coming off the bench. He was playing power forward. They make the playoffs. I think they're the 5 seed. They're playing the 2-time defending champion Rockets. They just did the repeat, 94-95. That's who they played in 96. In game 1, guess who the leading player in rebounds was? Magic Johnson. Now remember, he's 36 years old. He's out of shape. He hasn't played pro ball in 5 years. This is his first playoff action in 5 years. Game 1, he leads both teams in rebounds. In game 2, he leads both teams in scoring. Again, he's a power forward, not playing point guard. And he's coming off the bench. In game 3, he led both teams in assists. So again, he after a 5-year layoff, this was remarkable. To me, this was, it did help his longevity a little bit, but he played 12 and a half seasons. But the fact that the guy could come back and do this shows you, if he would have played in 92, 93, 94, 95, who knows what would have happened. The Lakers probably, they always had money to spend. They probably would have got more players. Now, I can't fill in the blanks. I can only go by what would have happened. But, it's obvious. His mental fortitude was great. Did Magic Johnson have a great defining moment? Absolutely. The whole game of Game 6 in the 1980 finals, for sure. But also in Game 6 of the 1987 finals against Boston, with the clock running down, I think they were tied or Boston was up 1. And Magic comes in the lane and does that little baby hook to win the game and basically kill Boston's run right there. They were done. After that, it was over. They lost to Detroit the next year, and he beat Bird 2 out of 3 times, which was a separator in a lot of people's minds, Magic over Bird. Now for me, am I a Magic guy? No. I was a Bird guy, and I loved Larry Bird. So I didn't hate Magic Johnson. He's a nice guy. He's a great guy. He's always smiling. How can you hate Magic Johnson? But I didn't like him, because he was a great player and he played for the Lakers. They were the other guys. You know what I mean? Like, I love Bird, and I wasn't necessarily a Celtic fan as I was a Bird fan, because the guy was great. He at that time in the early into the mid '80s, he was the best that I had ever seen, Larry Bird. But Magic was basically right there too. But as say from that point on, when Magic hit that baby hook, Magic was the better player between the two, no doubt. They did the repeat in '87 and '88. In '89, they got swept in the finals, but I mean, come on, Magic was injured. He missed 1.5 or 2 whole games. Byron Scott was hurt. They lost to a very superior team. I mean, Detroit had won like 35 straight home games, before the Lakers played them. And anyway, then the next year in 1990, he loses Kareem. Now he's an old man anyway, and everybody says, "Oh, the Showtime Lakers." Da 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 da. Well, Kareem's now gone, and they have the best record in the NBA. No Kareem on that team. Michael Cooper's getting older. In '91, they were the 3 seed, but actually I think they had the second best record. They were second in their division, second in the conference, but because of the seeding, they ended up being the 3rd seed. But anyway, they beat the team with the number 1 record in the NBA, Portland. They beat them. And the Lakers go into Chicago, win game 1. Worthy is hobbled, but he still has a pretty good game. But you can see in LA, Worthy was definitely hobbled. He missed game 5. Byron Scott missed game 5. I'm not making excuses. I think that the Lakers probably would have lost that series anyway. But, we're never going to know for sure. If Worthy was healthy and Byron Scott was healthy the whole way through, who knows? I think the Bulls still win it in probably 6 games, but we're never going to know. But anyway, Magic didn't have Kareem anymore. He didn't have, Jamal Wilkes and these guys. And James Worthy is one of them borderline top 75. No way was that guy going to be a top 75 if he did not play with Magic Johnson. So that's just the way it is. I know about the sweep in '83 against the Sixers. That was a super team who only lost 1 game in the whole playoffs. And the Lakers did not have James Worthy. His services were not available. But, the Sixers formed a super team. I mean, they were already taking the Lakers to 6 games the year before. Then they get Moses Malone, probably the top 3 or 4 player in the NBA at that time. So, it was ridiculous how good they were. But, the Sixers were done after that. They had a couple injuries. They were finished. But Magic kept going with it. The guy was incredible. He had a losing record in the finals, but he had the stiffest finals competition on here. And he still won 5 out of 9 championships. Even though his disparity between the first 2 rounds and the last 2 rounds was second only to LeBron, he won 5 out of 11 legitimate shots at a title. 5 out of 9 finals, the 1 seed 2 other times. Got upset in '86. 81 upset. I mean, Magic was already hobbled. He missed a third of the year. But in '86, Olajuwon, that really put him on the map. And, that he took a hit there. But that was one of the 3 ones that he won. The '81, the '86, and then in '90 when Phoenix beat him, another upset, lost in 5. Magic did get upset, but most everybody got upset. You know what I mean? There's only a handful of people that didn't, or didn't very much, and I already named them: Kobe, and there's a couple other guys. So anyway, that's it for this video. Magic Johnson's number 3. He scored through the roof on making players better, and also his accolades and championships and all these other things, leadership, mental fortitude. He scored really high. His competition was not great, especially the division and the conference ones. But hold on, I don't have it in front of me. I should have busted it out to give you the exact thing. But his stats were really good. Magic, when he needed to score later in his career, he did. He was a leading scorer on that team in the '90s. But early in his career, his passing was what was needed. He did whatever he needed to do. His 5-year peak was excellent. His 10-year peak was excellent. He made players better. He stayed with one team. That was a criteria. Being great on both ends. I mean, no, he wasn't great on both ends. He was great on one end, and he was moderate to solid on the other end. His conference and leader and division competition were not awesome. His leadership, his mental fortitude, and also, missed the playoffs. He never missed the playoffs. Made it every year. He didn't get upset that much. Only 3 times. He only blew three leads. He came up big in tough series and tough games. I did have the one tragic Johnson moment, but for the most part, you could count on him. The accolades voted on, his stats, his finals competition, and he did middle of the pack, win with opportunities, number 1 seed. But like I said, his mental fortitude, his leadership, and making players better, he was right up at the top of all those. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.